Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and in all due respect to my colleagues reading some article about the border, it doesn't take anyone with a third grade education to see that when 40,000 people cross the border at one time and claim asylum, that we don't have a problem on the Texas border. And 40,000 people cross every day on the border. So yes, they've grown the agency, and the agency's frustrated beyond belief. The Border Patrol is literally doing nothing but processing those people. So I take very much offense with that statement. Ma'am, let me ask you a question. I used to be a judge, that's why they call me judge.
Yes, sir.
And back in 1982, 3, 4, something like that, DPS came to me and told me that every fifth car on I-35 was a drug car. Okay? So they put together a task force to prove it, and wow, I tried drug cases for almost 3 years, solid drug cases. And I was a full jurisdiction court. So I had a lot of other things I had to do besides that. I don't think that has changed. I think I-35 is the artery of the cartels for transporting drugs all the way from Mexico to Canada, and I want to ask you. And DEA, by the way, was associated with all of our task forces we put together, and they did a great job helping us out. I mean, that's a long time ago, but they did a good job, and I'll give them kudos. I don't know what they're doing now because that's not my job, but I do know that's a corridor. And what are y'all doing on the corridor between Mexico and Canada, I-35?
Thank you, Judge. I've been a state, local, and federal prosecutor, and so I have also seen what you describe, these corridors, and I see it now as the chief of DEA. One of the things that we're seeing the cartels do is bring fentanyl into hubs across the United States. And so some of those are places like San Diego, Los Angeles, Denver, Chicago, Atlanta. Those are the core hubs where fentanyl goes out from. And so we are actively tracking this across the country. Again, we're mapping all of those threats. It's important to me that we understand all of the routes that the cartels use. As I think the Chapitos, it's the first example we've been able to make public of our work across the networks. But one of the things we see is that they use various different ways to get drugs into the United States. They use different transportation routes. They are a very diversified criminal organization. And yes, we are actively tracking this. And I think it's an important point of once the fentanyl is into the United States, how does it spread to all of our other communities?
Well, back in my day, the mules drove the stuff up to Dallas and other places. They were not a highly efficient group. They pretty stupid people. But they got paid a big chunk of money to drive something up there. You're dealing with people that are probably almost as rich as the United States of America. In cash money, they're probably the largest cash operation community in the history of the world. And so when it's kind of hard when a guy's working for the DEA and making maybe let's say making $150,000 a year, and somebody comes to him with $1 million in the cash in a suitcase. You've got a big issue going on right now with some investigations going on. I'm not criticizing you for those investigations at all, but you're dealing with people that have unlimited money. And I think one of the ways DEA has done other things in the past is track the money and shut off the money.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to know how you're doing that.
Yes, sir. It's a critical question. And one of the things we're doing, I mentioned earlier, hiring additional financial analysts because the money is very sophisticated. First, there's a lot of Chinese money laundering happening right now. There are numerous reasons why that's happening, including the fact that wealthy Chinese can only get a certain amount of money out of the country legally. And so there is a whole underground banking system that exists. It used to be that across the United States, we saw different forms of money laundering. Now, the bulk of what we see is Chinese money laundering. So there is an illicit finance network happening worldwide. Cryptocurrency, we are finding crypto wallets with wallets and wallets and wallets and wallets behind them. We are tracing, right now, we are actively tracing some of these illicit finance networks to countries across the world, to hundreds of millions of dollars using multiple cryptocurrency capacities, exchanges. And so this is vital. We are hiring, we have skilled men and women at DEA. We have them sitting on our counter threat teams. We are also hiring more people. We also are very fortunate that the IRS has agreed to give us some of their criminal investigators. Some of the military financial analysts are joining our counter threat team. So we are begging, borrowing, and asking anyone who can help us with this expertise. We also have a lot of men and women at the Department of Justice who have significant expertise in it. So we are doing everything we can to track every single dollar around the world. And it is also one of the ways that we illuminate the criminal network. Some of the money launderers work for both cartels, some work for only one, but this is the kind of information that, as we're using, again, across more than 70 data systems, as we pull it together and start to use it, it allows us to track this globally. It allows us to work with our foreign counterparts and partners. We're going to do as much work as we can ourselves, and we're going to share as much information and work as we can with our counterparts to attack this threat.
And I'm not sure the American public understand that the crypto world of finance is really Jalisco and Sinaloa banker.
Congressman, we see, even in just the Chapitos case, we saw cryptocurrency being used by Sinaloa. We saw bulk cash shipments. We also saw what we call trade-based money laundering, where the cartels, in this example, bought cell phones in the U.S., brought them to Mexico to sell them, and then the proceeds from those sales go back to the drug cartels. So again, they're using every single mechanism, every tool they possibly can to make billions of dollars and to hide that money.
Well, stay at it. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.